Hi everyone, today I'm joining you from my parents' basement with a lesson on centering on the pottery wheel, where we'll be turning this into this. Centering is the process of pushing clay into the center of the wheel so that it is even and appears to not be moving around while the wheel is spinning. This provides the foundation for you to pull up the walls on any ceramic piece. It's also pretty frustrating for some beginners, so if you can master it ahead of time, you will be good to go if you take any classes. Here I'm showing you what you'll need to get started. Just your wheel, a piece of clay, a bucket, and a sponge. Now I am picking off pieces of the clay and smacking it back together. This is going to help break up any hard areas in the clay and make it homogeneous. I'm using a pretty soft piece of porcelain here, which is going to make it pretty easy to push the clay around. A lot of people struggle when learning how to center, and a lot of times it's just an issue with the clay. The clay might be too hard. So I'm starting with a nice soft piece of clay here. I'm shaping it into a ball. You can either pat it or you can roll it on the wheel like I'm doing here. This will save your wrists a little bit if you go with the rolling method. And then I'm going to pat it on the bottom just to get a nice flat spot on the bottom to stick to the wheel. And then some people like to put a little dot of water on the wheel before they stick it on there. I don't think that's necessary. You can also just pat it down, push it down onto the wheel. Here I am turning the wheel and smacking it on either side. This is going to help get it into the center of the wheel before I even start spinning the wheel and trying to shape it. Here it is from the side. We're going for a little gumdrop shape. There's lots of different centering shapes, but a gumdrop is a good beginning shape. It's good for making cylinders, bowls, small beginner pots. Now I'm adding a little bit of water. You don't need to put a ton of water on the piece, just enough so that it's shiny and you're not getting a bunch of friction between your hand and the ball of clay. Here I pointed at the heel of my hand and the line down the side of my right hand below my pinky. I'm right-handed, so my right hand goes on top of the piece in a karate chop, and my left hand is kind of like a parentheses, an open parentheses on the left side of the pot. I'm showing you I'm anchoring my elbows into my thighs and using that to push my arms together into the center. You never really want to have one hand on the piece or your arms, your elbows floating up in the air. You always want to have yourself locked together and stable. A lot of the times my hands will be touching each other because that helps brace them on each other, and then my elbows are locked into my legs, and I can actually use my legs to squeeze my arms into the ball of clay. Here I am messing the center up on purpose by applying uneven pressure to show you from a different angle how I'm going to get it back on center. Again, I'm using the edge of my right hand in line with my pinky, and I'm using my parentheses on the left side, pushing in with the heel of my hand. And then I'm using the knuckle where my pinky meets the side of my hand to push in at the very bottom. The very bottom of the center is probably the most important part because that's where you will start your pull in future steps. Even if the top of the center is a little wobbly, if the bottom is right on, then you can usually correct anything that's going on at the top. Here I'm showing you coning up, which is squeezing the clay up into a tower or almost an ice cream cone shape. This is an optional step that helps get any air out of the clay and also helps Helps to redistribute the clay and mix it together a little bit, giving you a more even texture. It's a little bit like wedging while the wheel is spinning. Wedging being turning the clay around and getting it to be homogeneous, getting any air bubbles out. Here I'm pushing back down on the clay, and a lot of times I see students, their hands will be moving around like mine just were. That means you're letting the clay move you. I never want to see like my hands moving around on the wheel, because that means I'm not applying even pressure and I'm going to be making the clay move off center. So here I'm just refining the shape into a bit more of a gumdrop shape, pushing in on the bottom with the base of my pinkies. When coning up, you push in from the sides more. When coning down, you push down from the top more. Now here I'm just cleaning up the wheel so you can see it's on center. My 3 main tips are: start with soft, uniform clay, brace your arms in a way that works for you, in a way that you aren't letting the clay move you around, and also patience makes perfect.